rock and roll, baby.
Good morning from Los Angeles.
Welcome and good morning from Bandera.
Yes. So, wow. It's really great to be back on the road. And this is downtown Los Angeles. I'm attending Mobile World Congress, Los Angeles 2021. And I'm taking my little walk from the hotel to the convention center. And
awesome.
So how's it going, Stephanie?
Going good. Well, more than anything, I mean, I'm jealous because you're at a live event. And you know what I noticed, though, that's been different is it seems that our executive types that are attending the event. So what's the latest and the greatest? What are you seeing or hearing so far?
Oh, you know what? I love how it's just a completely digestible event, where you can see the people that you want to see without having to race back and forth between halls, working up a sweat. I mean, you know how it is, especially if mega events like CES, Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. I mean,
they're
it's just ridiculous, right? And then also you have so many people, and the people that you meet, their calendars get filled up so quickly. You have to have some priority on their agenda. Otherwise, you don't get to meet them.
Yeah.
But
I always find that, though, the best meetings are the ones over dinner or wine or coffee, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I'm seeing someone else trying to join.
What are they? Is someone trying to come in?
Yep. It's Rob.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait.
Hey.
Is Rob there too or no?
No, he's not here. Hey, Rob, what's up, man?
Hey.
Oh, my
howdy.
iPhone 13 just arrived.
Oh, boy, That's going to change your life.
Howdy.
I thought it was the M1 Pro Max.
Didn't y'all talk about that last week? I haven't listened to it. I need to take a listen.
Oh, it's a good one. Yeah, Rob goes ballistic. It's like insanity.
Did you go off on innovating or developing something brand new with that M1 technology? That was my guess.
I think
he did.
I went another direction. I went and I expounded upon how they should be using the M1 Max to build servers and their own public cloud. And because it's so much faster than anything else on the planet that Intel has, that Cisco's going to want that in their networking gear. Ericsson, Huawei, Samsung, Nokia is going to want that in their radio access network gear to lead us towards 6G.
Just embedded everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like night and day, right? Over Intel.
You know what?
I just love looking at your background. Your background, Leonard, just seeing you out and about.
Oh, yeah.
So jealous.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's the first episode. Number one, it's the first episode without live music or live
Rob, you don't have
disaster
anything?
Music.
I got nothing.
Do I need to turn my Spotify on and let's listen to the new Adele or something?
There you go.
Maybe.
There you go. Maybe we'll have to add something in post-production.
Wait a minute. But did you hear, though, Adele's kind of all the rage with all of her release, whatever. She had one song come out first. But the crazy thing is the news this week on iTunes is that the number 1 and number 2 songs are about Let's Go Brandon by some rapper or maybe 2 rappers. How is that number one and number two? What is happening? What's going on in this world? Like I haven't heard it, but I just saw the news article about it. I'm like, wow, with Adele, how are you going to beat Adele? Crazy.
The only thing they can beat Adele is "Let's Go, Brandon."
I was like, what? I think it's more as like people just love comedy, and we all need comedy right now. Things are, the pandemic got us way too serious and in a dark mode, and now we just need funny, crazy, funny, like humor all the time just to get us out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do.
So, LA is looking bright and beautiful this morning.
Yes.
It is. When I arrived, we got a little bit of that, what do you call it? That sky, the river stream or whatever that thing is.
Oh, yeah.
That was dumping, rain all over Northern California.
The bomb cyclone?
Yeah, the bomb cyclone.
Yep.
So we got a little bit
I got really excited about that, talking to my kid about, because they're big weather buffs because of my husband. And we talked about bumbogenesis. So now we were talking about the bomb cyclone. I'm like, they love all those terms.
That's pretty cool.
Let's hear it for analytics and, IoT
forecasting
and all that other stuff. That have been always part of this whole forecasting infrastructure that we had for weather,
There you go.
There's all that technology in action, science, blah, 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 analytics, and, makes our lives a little bit better.
So, Leonard, give us a day one recap. Did you hear anything cool or learn anything new?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I have to save this for, because I'm sitting on the analyst panel to wrap the whole event up.
So you're going to you're going to educate them then, huh?
I'm going to educate. I'm going to do some education. I'm going to do some education. Yeah, straight up. So, you know what? I'll just give you guys a preview. One of the things that I thought was, number one, the carrier presence was pretty modest, or that's even generous, was kind of non-existent.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day, T-Mobile used to have that big old 5G is here kind of fanfare-ish, theatrical get up that they did. There's none of that. It's just very, very subdued. And so, the point that you're making earlier, Stephanie, the discussions were much more focused. You have round tables, smaller, oh man, I'm starting to suffocate with this.
You're outside.
Trying to talk and walk at the same time.
I would be okay seeing. You're outside walking. You're probably
you see those guys right there?
Oh, are
they? They're walking around with masks.
Do they have cooties?
No. Anybody can have cooties. That's the thing.
That's for sure.
But these guys are in LA, super cootie paranoid.
You're walking in LA.
Walking in LA, man.
We're also wearing you out. So no, but it's more subdued. The carriers they kind of lack the strong presence that they normally have. What else?
Yeah, so in 2019, I thought there was going to be this whole, let's say, promotion of adjacent markets, especially in digital services. You had these appended sub events like Digital Hollywood, where they're talking about, content and production and how it relates to communications. All that stuff is gone.
Okay.
And then the IoT stuff, from what I can tell. And by the way, I had dinner with Charlie Key last night, and it was really awesome. It was great meeting him in person.
Oh, great.
Really, really fun guy. Yeah. Had a blast with him. And, we have to have him back on IoT Coffee Talk,
Yeah.
And by the way, this work from home bullshit, serious bullshit. This is, even though we're just starting to get back to life and meeting each other, there's nothing like live meetings.
So
there's no argument. Don't even say that Zoom is going to be the future. It's not. This is the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up. I don't want to hear that
interaction face to face.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that nonsense anymore. We should be focusing on getting back, not trying to replace it with some virtual silliness, you know?
You're right.
I got triggered, dude.
Yeah, but the sad thing is we'll probably fall somewhere in the middle of all that because people I mean, let's face it, we all got lazy sitting around in our pajamas for all that time. And I think a lot of people just became complacent and don't want to go back into the office because they kind of got used to having a lot of that. I mean, you get into a lazy mode, I think, in terms of your own personal appearance and taking care of the things that you normally
Hey,
would
who's
do.
this?
Oh, hey. Hey there.
This is Peter.
Hi, Peter.
He can't hear because I have the AirPods on.
Oh, okay.
See you inside.
Okay, all right, take care. Oh, it's Peter Yarich.
Fellow
Awesome.
analyst.
Yeah, DSMA. Yeah, you know, he doesn't smile that much, but he has a beautiful smile, right? Look at that. Right, Peter? Oh,
Handsomeness.
come on.
Love it.
I don't even know what we were talking. Oh, we were talking about this things getting back to, we love the face to face. And I'm jealous that you're doing that. So,
oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Rob, you're going to do the IoT World next week, right?
I am. I'm looking forward to it.
That's one that I would have loved to gone to. I have just a crazy schedule because kid stuff going on, but that one looks like it's going to be a great event, Rob.
I think so. I hope so.
Are you speaking?
No.
Just meeting?
I'm just meeting. I'm going to be at some happy hour thing. And, you know.
That's important, the happy hour.
It is. I'm literally going to fly in the morning of, just taking an early flight down, just spending that one night. And then I'll be around till the afternoon, I guess, and then fly back to Seattle. Because then I got to turn around and fly to Arizona. Same evening.
Back to your second home.
Yeah. Well, it's parents' weekend at Arizona State, so Kathy and I are flying down to see Caroline. So
yeah, you got to take care of that.
Cool.
We have something called Flight Week this week, which is we're supposed to have a bonfire. We have a game. The kids have homecoming dance, pep rally. So it's a busy week for the Atkinson family.
Love it. And Leonard's got the perfect view for this episode with your face and the background. That looks like a great shot for the week.
And the nice blue beard.
Yes.
Wearing a blue. He's blue beard. Yeah. Yes.
It's a chin diaper. It's
That's horrible.
A chin thong or a Speedo.
The thong.
It's a thong. Right.
We now have an explicit rating.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Well, we already blew that a little while back when I went.
You know what? I will tell you what I noticed is I went on to, I don't know if it was, I think it was Spotify, and it stopped at so many episodes. So we need to check our feeds.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I have to get a whole new dump of episodes to upload.
I just want to tell you guys something. It's amazing that he recognized me. Because I have my face mask on, and then I have these like transition lenses. I don't know how he recognized me.
Leonard, you're easy to recognize. Don't think that you're not.
Oh, you know what? I heard the funniest thing yesterday. So I met with the Rakuten team, and friggin' one of the guys goes, "Wow, you're big." I went, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you look so much smaller in the thumbnail." I'm like, "What the hell's that supposed to mean?" Because he's only seen me virtually, and I guess he doesn't know that I'm tall. You know.
I hope someone says the opposite about me. Oh, you're so much smaller.
Oh, you're
that's
so
hilarious.
Well, that's a compliment. But I was like, what?
You're like, yes, I'm big.
I thought it was like hilarious. It's like, okay, this must be a real shocker for a lot of people who kind of assume that I'm a tiny guy based on my thumbnail.
That is really funny. Oh my God.
It was hilarious. No, I loved it. I was just like, I stared at him and go, "What? You for real?"
Wow.
But yeah.
So what's on the agenda? What's on the agenda today besides your panel? Anything fun happening at the event?
Oh yeah. No, there's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, it's great. Honestly, it's really great to see people that you've only been interacting with virtually for the last like year and a half, or at least that was for me. You know, some people have been going to events a lot sooner, but that's the thing. And you know, it's interesting how the virtual can kind of set the stage for the face-to-face, but then when you get the face-to-face, it just goes, the relationship just takes another level. But the like you were saying earlier, Stephanie, it's not even the stuff that happens in the briefing. It's the stuff actually that happens during a briefing. I mean, after the briefing is where all the interesting conversations happen. The off script, like stuff like that wasn't on the bullet point list that you sent to the executive. That's where you have the really interesting conversations, and if there's alcohol involved, it's even better. Sorry. But you know how it is. I mean, that's how you do it.
If they're meeting with 30, 40 people, over the course of a few days or whatever, or have those meetings, it's the ones where you personalize and you have conversations above and beyond business that I think are most meaningful to people, and they remember you and you connect with people. It's the ones that come in dry and just speak business and leave. Those just aren't memorable. That's just the way it is. Yeah. I feel like developing the relationships is probably one of the most important things that we as business leaders need to be doing. And you know what? This pandemic has taken a lot of that away, because you tend to get on Zoom and you just boom, 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 and you might have some small talk and then you walk away or you finish your session. So we've lost a lot of that.
Did you say Zoom and then boom, boom, boom? That sounds like the song that says, all I want to do is boom, 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 boom with the zoom, zoom.
Zoom, zoom.
There you go. Sing it, Rob. Sing it. We got to get our song in.
All I want to do is boom, boom, boom. Zoom, 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 and your boom, boom.
Oh, my God.
Just shake your rump. That's that one.
Yeah.
There you go. That's shake, right.
Baby,
That's
shake,
right.
Baby, shake, baby, shake.
Yeah. See, there we go. We got our song.
Okay, you got to dub it in. Oh, well, we might be crossing copyright.
So when I think about this,
remember that song? Oh my God!
This MWC LA event. The last time I was there, 2019, with Leonard, we did a panel together. I don't remember what it was about.
Did we? I have no idea what that was about.
The funny thing is, it's probably still highly relevant because we.
I don't know. Might be. Isn't that weird?
But it's been a way long time.
It has. The time has flown by. It's almost like the last year or 2 years just didn't happen, and we just were teleported or something. I really enjoyed that event in 2019. Saw a lot of friends. We had a big booth. Ericsson had a big booth, and you're right. All the other mobile operators had big booths then.
Well, Ericsson isn't even here. Nokia's not here. I mean, before there used to be some Chinese vendors. There's only Korean vendors. So, I mean, the event reflects the geopolitics as well as sort of the shifting priorities of the carriers here in the U.S. But I mean, honestly, I'll give you a bit of a spoiler, because one of the things that we're being asked is what kind of disappointed you. Some people might say, well, the attendance was excellent. I love what's happening. You don't see like a huge crowd back there, but there are going to be people, right? Enough people. And I think that's fine. But the thing that's really troublesome for me is that in terms of an agenda, a vision for what telcos want to be in the future, U.S. telcos, it's taken more than a few notches back, which is a little bit disconcerting for me, just based on the research I do, which is global. I don't think that the operators have a competitive mindset, right? They're kind of piggybacking on the hyperscalers to help them with the edge cloud stuff and even some of their infrastructure stuff. And one of the interesting comments that one of the executives I met, who's a buddy of mine from a particular company in Japan that has been doing a lot of Open RAN stuff. I won't name names. He knows who he is. I asked him about the whole Dish thing and, AWS basically doing most of the hosting. I said, so what do you think about that, dude? And he goes, I don't get that at all, And I kind of agree with him that, the operators really need to take Hey, guys. Hey, Johan. Yeah. So I look smaller in the thumbnail, right? This is the guy. Okay. All right, we'll do. Take care. That's Johan Viet. He's the main communications guy of Rakuten. Yeah, he's the guy. He's the dude that did it. Yeah, he implicated himself.
Do you know, sometimes I feel like I don't know, I can't speak for everybody else, but the US operators, I don't want to say they're reeling right now, but if there was one blanket statement, it's, oh my God, we just dropped tens of billions of dollars on new spectrum and build out. And how are we going to recoup that investment from 5G? That's like the big question mark, you know?
But I also think that they are so heavily focused domestically and locally that they also have kind of shifted a lot of their focus back to the consumer. And enterprise government, like they need them to step up. And then if they don't have this global competitive response to what's happening in China and globally, then I mean we already are talking about it. Government officials are talking about it and pleading with our country and our technologists is we are falling behind. And if we're going to remain a global leader, across all of these, with all these big countries, we have to do better innovatively. And we've taken a pause, and it's been, I think this pandemic has really been hard for us. And I think it's one of the reasons why we are falling behind. We were kind of in panic mode, response mode, and we were not really, I think a lot of priorities just shifted very quickly, and they're not shifting back to where they should be as fast as I was expecting them to.
Right. I mean, again, it's that full reversal, which to me is disconcerting because we should be pressing forward. There should be this proactive mindset that we're looking at evolving the telco industry, and then everything else will follow behind it, like the IoT. Like you made a great point, Stephanie. The whole enterprise thing is people are still scratching. I mean, they are scratching their head. It's not like they're still scratching their head. They're scratching their head, wondering, okay, how's this play going to work out? It's a really challenging one for them. Edge computing and edge cloud, that's the big thing that I'm looking at, see what kind of progress, we're making here in the US. And that's a big mystery as well. Right. And then Rob, you brought up probably the most poignant point here is with all this massive investment in spectrum, the question of monetization has not been answered yet. There's still people going, well, what is the killer 5G app? What's the killer 5G app? And you know what? There isn't an answer, and there isn't this sense of clarity that I see forming. I think we're still wallowing in this confusion and slowly, if not quickly, descending into this massive trough of disillusionment that has a price tag on the order of, like you said, Rob, tens of billions of dollars, right? And so the question is, okay, telcos, what's your game plan for ROI?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a if you build it, it will come scenario. I think the industry has to do a better job of setting the stage. Okay, with 5G, what does it do for you? And lay out, okay, we've got greenfield developments. Boom, let's really leverage 5G. We have to go through these scenarios. And it's not just scenarios, because everyone's tired of hearing about, okay, these use cases, video, right? Video was like the big thing, or simulation, or VR, AR, whatever it is. They're tired of hearing about these key, just typical applications that just get thrown out. And they're ready for, okay, how do you apply this to my business? looking at my industry and digging into what's happening in my industry. Where are we going to leverage and use 5G, and what really fits the mold? Because why would I throw out the solutions that I have right now? What's the difference between that and LTE? Well, I'm on a 5G network, just using it, walking around, and I may still have issues with connectivity, especially in a building or under, certain floors. So there's just a lot of things that things need to be sketched out. And if you're not presenting that and walking the customer through that, they're not going to even reach out and say, hey, maybe we should leverage 5G for this. They're just not going to do that. And right now, everything seems super superficial. And 2 years ago, we were asking about the use cases, and they're still talking about the use cases.
It's even before then.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We always talk about the hype, and I always say hype is fun, but it's also really bad for your health. We should not celebrate wanton, silly marketing. It's not cool. It's super not cool. And, that's been our mindset on IoT Coffee Talk. And, while we kind of take the gloves off and just try to get real, get silly with stuff and, just bring things down to, the ground level, right? What's the ground truth? What's the reality? Because all this hype marketing costs a lot of money. There's a lot of waste that goes on. And it almost feels like to me that this has become sort of the modus operandi for the way that American companies in particular go to market. And it's wasteful, right? Not only for the companies, but for investors who put money in those companies, put money into startups with, trying to exit with these ridiculous SPACs and meme trading and investment and all these strange constructs that are not based on, sound foundational business principles and notions of value. You're only going to decline. Do you know what I'm saying? And
I agree.
When you play that kind of game,
it is a vicious cycle that we are going through. But you know what? I also put my marketing hat on, since I'm running a marketing agency now, and that is the game. And so we are going to play it. We have to have those key terms, those hype tech terms,
right?
Totally embedded in every marketing piece that we're working on, because that's how you compete on the marketing level. Now, what you do with that is usually up to the product, the sales, the engineers, and those that are really pushing a solution to the enterprise or to a government entity. But that's where we fall short. We're doing great on the marketing. Everyone's really, if you haven't heard of 5G now, something's wrong with you. You may not know exactly what it's doing, but that's there. What we're not doing, we're selling that term. We're not really educating and communicating effectively about really how does this really change your business or transform your business, which is what we've been preaching for a while. So we just kind of drop off. We are not carrying it to the end. And that's the part that, where is that handoff from the marketing folks to the sales folks to execution? Those pieces have to be filled in.
And that's another challenge, right? You have the sales guys selling more than you can deliver, and then the people who get handed the crappiest end of the stick are the people who have to deliver, and the engineers.
That's right. It's so depressing.
And all the people who basically made a ton of high margin money off of selling the silliness, they're the ones just walk off and they go, "Oh crap! All right, I'm glad I didn't step on that one."
Oh my gosh! Is it like?
Come on.
How we use the term?
If you ever done stuff, that this is real.
Sometimes the word toxic comes to mind. We talk about toxic people or toxic positivity lately. I wonder if it's toxic marketing.
Yeah.
It could also come back to haunt you because you hyped it up and you are not delivering. And businesses take that to heart. Really?
There's this, it's a hype machine that feeds on itself. It starts with analysts. It starts with vendors trying to sell product. it's events that are right behind Leonard there. Mm-hmm. It's all this giant marketing hype machine to get people to think that they need to buy something, right? And they don't know if they need to or not, but this hype machine is there to get people excited, and you got to have it.
It's almost like, Rob, we should be looking at, okay, what do we start the year off totally hyping the industry about? And then at the end of the year, what did we as an industry, like, I'll put myself in there, what did we deliver on? Like, did we accomplish anything from that?
Whereas Coffee Talk is where we throw the bullshit flag on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you have to. If you're not honest with yourself, you're going to keep going through this hype cycle and you're never delivering to your customer.
I find it interesting. Like, I'll talk about this stuff I've been working on this year, this Thunderstruck deal for agriculture. And when I talk to people that are a part of the hype machine and really smart people, tech people, and they go, oh, but it doesn't do this and it doesn't do that, and you need to be following this trend and no one's going to want it. And it's so weird. But then when I talk to actual farmers who use it, they think it's going to revolutionize their industry. And so a lot of times I have to turn off the BS stuff from the people who are so-called smart and go, you know what? The customer actually knows what they want.
That's why I've always led my research practice, led with the customer point of view instead of let's study this technology. Let's dig into the details of why this and the forecast this. I feel like we have to start with the customer and then work our way backwards. But you're right. It's the customer that's going to determine this is great or not.
Yeah. It's not so much stuff is not customer driven. It's vendor driven.
Yeah.
And,
that's just the bottom line.
And, you know, I think where you get in trouble is when that disconnect gets wider and wider. And then, I mean, it's just like anything. If you have a problem that gets bigger and bigger, it's a bigger problem that you have to deal with bigger consequences. And so, I mean, you know, so the thing that really, kind of bothers me is that, again, going back to what I was saying before, it's just we've kind of overhyped things. We haven't balanced it with sensible discussions. But smaller, you know, now that we're getting back into these types of events, the smaller scale, I think, has just kind of squashed, or at least has attenuated a lot of the buzz. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe it's just a sobering time right now where people are trying to reconcile with what's happened over the last almost 2 years. But I mean, I like this tone. I don't think it's going to last very long.
I'm okay with that because I feel like
last very long.
If anything, this has humbled a lot of us, and so we've got to get back. We've got to get a clear focus. We can't keep moving forward in this massive, okay, I'm going to do everything for everyone mentality, which is what a lot of the big technology companies do. This has humbled us, and we really got to get back to the basics and focus on square one, which is our customers, and lead with the customer. And I think that we just we're learning a lot of lessons, and then hopefully there's some companies there that just really focus on how can we really restructure to make the right decisions and move forward. But I mean, we're gonna see. I feel like we're kind of in a shakedown too. There was so much. Everyone was trying to compete in this industry across different IoT, solutions, platforms, this and that. I also think this might shake out some of the dirt that we always see, especially us guys, because we're in the industry and we see a lot of different companies come and go. But I'm hoping that this really gets companies to focus.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it really is. Yeah, that whole spectrum thing that you brought up, Rob, really kind of hit home. Because when you think about this whole notion of 5G leadership, very early on, you had Verizon and AT&T jump in with both feet on a millimeter wave. They spent a lot of money on that stuff. And then the rest of the world just sat there and said, okay, well, we're just going to refarm our strategy is we will refarm our lower band stuff and then we will go mid band for capacity and coverage. How did they get that before we did? And then the whole time we're just, our industry in the US is making fun of them for not leading and, and saying, look, these guys are behind because they're not going forward with the leading edge of technology. And I think this is just a lesson that is, Apple wasn't the first one with a smartphone, but guess what? They figured out what the course of success would look like, and they defined what the smartphone is today. And the same goes for 5G infrastructure. It's not the Verizons and the T-Mobiles and the AT&Ts who went head first with the technology. It's like HTC claiming that they have the first 4G phone. Well, where's HTC now? And this lack of perspective, I think, is very dangerous. It really is.
Well, I mean, and, the bottom
it's
line,
played out negatively.
Yeah, and the bottom line
in a lot of instances
is the cellular carriers. When they keep going back to their mainstay, which is connectivity.
Yeah,
but they're not making money on connectivity the way that they want to, and they're not going to. They thought, IoT connectivity, we're going to turn on all of these connections, and we're going to make. Well, there's very little to no money being made on the connectivity piece. It's just very minute. And then they rush the industry and we're trying to do everything. We're software, we're app, we're platform, we're security, we're doing all of these things. And they're trying to do that internally. Now they realize, we've got to partner and build out these great relationship co-opetition ecosystems in order to meet our customers' needs. And, they're struggling with that. Yeah. They're struggling with that.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, you have to have a sense of what the customer will be willing to buy and what they will buy. And without a good sense of that, and then making a bunch of investments and taking on this, build it and they will come, taking on that kind of mindset, mentality, I mean, it doesn't work. And that it is a real delusional thing that the industry thinks that somehow they are the ones that made the iPhone happen. It's just so nonsensical. And it's not how things played out, like we talked about in our last episode. At the end of the day, I think this is a healthy thing, where hopefully there's enough retrospection where we can get out of this quickly, this kind of, I guess you can call it the trough of disillusionment. I don't think we're at the bottom yet, but the sooner we can reconcile with the past, the sooner we can get to a better future and a more competitive future. I think that's really my hope, and we'll see if that happens. And of course, I'm going to do what I can as an analyst to help our companies figure out how to get out of these doldrums. So
what I was going to say too is that I was looking through all of the carrier numbers. Of course, T-Mobile hasn't reported yet, and looking at their business numbers, and the trend line really is in the sweet spot that we should all be focusing on is SMB. Not only because those SMB that their revenues are increasing, they're a much larger bulk and they continue to grow compared to enterprise accounts. Not only that, except with the exclusion of, there's some government, movement now, right? But the big thing that's happened over the past 2 years is, number one, PPP. Those are the loans that small businesses are getting from the Small Business Administration. Many of them do not have to pay back. It's forgiven. And number two are the small business emergency grants, the EIDL loans that a lot of small businesses, small to mid-sized businesses qualified for, especially those on less than 100 employees, that range. They got loans that were such low interest that they have funding. They are investing in technology and they are there and they do have wallets. And many of them had got such great deals from the Small Business Administration that they're there and they're ready to compete and they're ready to keep moving forward. And so that forgiveness goes down to operational expenses. They can only use those loans for certain things, but it's running their business, and technology is one of them. So why not take advantage of that and really go after that sweet spot?
Marc's on. Hey, Marc, how's it going?
Marc,
welcome to Barcelona.
Yeah. Oh, there is.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Qué tal?
Muy bien.
Hola, welcome to Los Angeles.
¿Cómo va todo por Los Ángeles?
¿Dónde es la edificio?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm
What
in
did
the
I just say?
clouds.
Huh? Oh, you guys are so funny.
How
What's
is
up?
Global Congress?
It's pretty good. I enjoy it. I was telling these guys, it's not like crowded like it is in Barcelona. It used to be, but the meetings are really good. I think there's a lot of executive level, buyer level engagement, and there's not a lot of distractions, which is, it's just really pleasant in that regard. And the sessions are actually more focused. Oh, that's the other thing that I forgot to bring out. So it's smaller, less sessions. You can much more digestible in terms of being able to take in all the content or as much more content than you could before, right? So yeah, it's great. And then not a lot of traffic. So
Love that.
I love it. Yeah. Seriously, I wish it could stay this way. And you can see people trickling in right behind you. I feel like a reporter now.
It's been a steady flow and it's starting to pick up. I'm watching.
Yep. People are waking up.
Yeah. I was laughing earlier, Leonard, because some bicyclist just rode by you and it looked like he was going to hit you. And I was just like, my eyes
really? Yeah, but you know what? I'm bigger than the thumbnail.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I think I would have damaged his bike. That wouldn't have been a good thing for him to run into me.
And Kung Fu.
I'm actually
at least Kung Fu of the IoT, right?
See, that's a really great stereotype because I will never get mugged. Not only when people see me, I'm physically big, they'll assume, okay, this guy probably knows Kung Fu, so I really better not mess with him.
How tall are you, Leonard?
Which is completely not true. I'm 6'1".
See, you're just like
but I meant
but I'm not as tall as that
IoT
guy.
Kung Fu.
Right,
Kung
I
Fu
would say,
can be a lot of things, right?
Marc, how tall are you?
Oh my God.
I'm 6'9".
Okay, if I stood next to you, my 5'3" frames that stood next to you, I would look like that.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to say so.
Now
Marc would be like,
really
this is my young daughter here, this little child.
Oh,
you know what?
gosh.
Now I feel really, really ridiculous saying that I'm big when, Marc is literally the IoT giant.
He is the IoT giant.
He is the giant. He's massive. It's like I remember the first time I met him, I'm like, dang, this dude is tall. Like, man, it's like you look so small in your thumbnail.
We need to do an IoT Talk live event in 2022 with all of us together.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Wherever it is, awesome. We got to plan it. We got to be there.
Yeah. I think Marc knows where to have the event already.
Yeah, absolutely. But where are you planning to go in 2022? At least Rob, Leonard,
we should totally charter a plane. On Rob's dime. On Rob's dime.
That sounds like a party. Sounds like a party.
Estrella Dam Brewery.
Man, that's a good stuff.
So what's the takeaway? We're at MWC. All the mobile operators are up to their eyeballs in debt. They have spent tens of billions of dollars to buy new spectrum for 5G. They've also had to buy gear from companies like mine and Nokia and everyone else, more billions. And now they're rolling it out. There's lots of people climbing towers and they're rolling new backhaul networks, front haul networks. It's the most massive expense you can imagine. And so, yes, they're going to be like, show me the money on all this investment. And they were remembering a few years ago before 5G came out, analysts were saying, don't worry. Our studies show that people said they'll pay more money for 5G.
Yeah. Wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, man? This is what I would tell the operators. Get smart. Not the TV show. Okay. You guys remember Get Smart?
I remember Shoe Phone.
Could you believe? No.
Yeah.
And the second thing, friggin' prioritize, and being smart means getting real, then prioritize and make sure that you have a plan and a strategy for evolving your whole business. Don't retract and go back into doing the connectivity stuff. There's just no growth there.
Go talk to the customer. Talk to your customers.
Well, I mean, yes, talk to your customers. Not as easy as that. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that can be practically pursued, but you got to get the right people. You got to get, the right kind of strategy in place, whether it's from a product perspective, business model, monetization, strategy, all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of work to do, and everybody is, 3-4 years behind, because you have to do this even before the new technology, quote unquote, new technology comes out. But that's not to say that, 5G happens when the standards are set globally. Of course, we're going through the 5G rollouts today. The technology continues to evolve as does the standard. But if you're making these investments and they don't align with all these different roadmaps, there's so many friggin' roadmaps, it's like mind-boggling. Just take autonomous vehicles or the car, the evolution of the car. The dependencies there are just silly, and that's just one quote unquote scenario or use case area. And I mean, friggin' do your homework. Damn, you know what I'm saying? Do your homework, because I don't see that.
They did their homework. They did their homework. They did all the research that the analysts told them to read, and because of that, they said, "We're all in."
And then they did like 5 minutes of Google research.
Yeah,
they Googled it.
They Googled it.
Oh my God,
Marc, are you at a football game?
Yeah. Well, what you call soccer. But a question. So, Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, it's about 6G, right?
It's
so
about
ready?
You're like, we've moved on. We're talking 6G in Spain.
You're talking Gorgonzola when it is clearly free time, baby.
Now, there's another point of view. It doesn't mean you have to follow the trends, but you could also say that 5G is table stakes, that you had no choice. And the reason is, Stephanie said it earlier, the biggest trend we've seen all up from these things and everything else is video. And so the only way to even just keep up with the baseline of what people are doing is you had to put in 5G to get that extra capacity, which really sucks that you had to make this giant investment just to stay at the status quo, basically. Yeah. No icing on the cake, just the cake.
Hey, man. Yeah. I mean, but okay, so bringing everything back onto the less snarky side of things. I mean, 5G technology definitely has a value proposition, and it's just a matter of tuning into it, and not overreaching, not overshooting. That's the key, and it's not to take anything away from 5G. Like you said, Rob, it's inevitable. It's just, technology advances. It's like, people who complain about 5G and put it down are the same people who think that, you never should update or upgrade your smartphone. And they think it's, they criticize Apple or Samsung for coming out with a new model every year, and the handset is getting more advanced and advanced. It's like, well, what do you freaking expect?
Well, you know what? If you did
forward.
If you did a quick
backwards.
if you did a quick survey of all these consumers with their devices now, they probably all think they're on 5G when they're not, because they don't have devices that have 5G radio or antennas. But they just assume they're getting 5G.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's the marketing aspect of it, and there's the practical aspect of, some of the 5G services are definitely not meeting the promise. Far from it, but
marketing equals AT&T saying your 4G advanced is 5G E.
I remember when that was all the news. Like, hey, that's pretty tricky. How are they getting away with that?
They just did it, but they shouldn't be worried, because T-Mobile did it in the 3G days when they started calling something 4G that wasn't, like HSEPA Plus, and T-Mobile called it 4G on the phones. And it's just marketing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Maybe I'm a bit ignorant here, but there is something else on IoT on 5G out of the NB-IoT and LTM4.
Oh, is that the question?
Are you I wonder if anybody's going to talk about that at your event this week, Leonard?
What?
LTEM and NB-IoT or LTEM. No. I wonder if no one's talking about it.
There's just very little. Okay, and that's the other thing. There's very little IoT stuff going on. I think right now this is the attendees, and the agenda is focused on, I guess, more substantial aspects of the industry. I hate to say that. I don't think the IoT stuff really kind of made it onto the docket here. And that's just, I think,
it's because we're in the trough.
The heavier duty, yeah. You're on the trough, and also the scale. It's a much lower scale. You know what I'm saying? Here you got like the big guys like Intel, Qualcomm, the big carriers. I don't see a lot of smaller carriers here. You have a lot of the big players attending, because I assume that they're the ones that can afford to. I think a lot of the smaller IoT companies are not finding the opportunity here, or don't think it's worth it. They're prioritizing where they go, right? So.
Maybe some of those guys are going to be at IoT World next week, and maybe you'll hear more, Rob, and give us an update.
Yeah, well, that's why I heard from Charlie. They're really thinking hard about where they invest and where they go and attend. And Charlie did show up here, right? And he had some great meetings, but I just don't see a lot of other IoT things making as a large of a presence, or a proportionately large presence here.
That actually speaks volumes as to this kind of stagnation that we're experiencing. I feel like there's certain things that have taken off because of the pandemic, and then there are certain. I feel like the technology companies have also taken a pause on a lot of things. So we'll see. Yeah, and I'll be curious as to what Rob hears next week, because that's really heavily focused on IoT.
Yeah, and so that will be next week's, right? Is IoT World? Yeah. That'll be the next week's episode. Yeah,
and fly up to Santa Clara, Leonard?
No.
Hey, surprisingly, the hotels in Silicon Valley are the cheapest I've ever seen them ever.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Like, we're talking like $100 a night.
Wow.
I've never seen that.
And they're normally $300 that are close to it.
In fact, I'm staying at the Hyatt that's connected to the convention center there in Santa Clara, and it's cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm like, maybe I need to.
Maybe you need to pop on out and check it out,
A little 24-hour adventure.
Well, that's all I'm doing. I'm just flying up the morning of, and I'm flying back after lunch the second day, and that's it. So quick turnaround. Yeah. So see some of our friends,
Well, guys, I got to head inside.
All right.
Who wants to wrap it up? Or should I wrap it up?
You should wrap it up. This is your deal.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, this is Leonard Lee reporting from Mobile World Congress here, Los Angeles. 2021. And thank you so much for joining us on this episode of IoT Coffee Talk. We hope that you'll join us next week, where Rob Tiffany will be attending IoT World in Santa Clara, California, and staying in a $100 a night hotel room. That is amazing. And that's just the beginning. Stay tuned. Join us next week for another exciting episode of IoT Coffee Talk. We'll see you later.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.